speaking to a musical idol while he was naked in warm water was disarming and comforting at the same time.
Welcome, everyone, to the X Lounge. We are here with Said the Whale today. Thank you guys for coming.
Oh, thanks for having us.
How was the show last night?
It was fun.
It looked fun. You guys looked like you just kind of had a blast on stage.
We blasted off.
And on top of the show, it's not even been a week since your new album came out, right? It's Friday?
Yeah, 4 days.
4 days.
That's 34.
34 days?
3 or 4.
3 or 4 days.
Right.
What's it? So you were on tour for a bit before it launched, right?
Yeah, started January 25th.
Wow. So what's it like kind of being on tour while the album comes out? Like, you're just like, one day you're playing a show before everyone has access to this new entire catalog, and then the next day everyone's listening to it.
Well, actually, we've been selling it the whole time. Yeah, we have a very flexible record label who are interested in selling the record, and they gave us permission to sell it from the very first show.
Also, one of the differences is watching people sing along to some of the songs that people had not been singing along to in the past.
Yeah, and that's got to feel good too, right?
Feels very good.
It's proving people are listening to the whole album. They're out there enjoying it. And also, yeah, I like that little perk to seeing Sid the Whale early if a new album's coming out.
That's right.
Yeah. So off the album, I think one thing, because you guys have been around for like 12 years now?
Almost
12 years. I think a lot of people get this impression that after a band's been around for a bit of time, they tend to slow down. But the first song we got was Un-American, and that is not like a slowing down song from Said the Whale. That is like a boppy tune. Where did that do you like consciously try to bring that energy, or where does that come from?
Oh, in terms of like where the energy comes from, maybe just like an envisioning of being on stage. It's really fun to play upbeat songs to rock crowds. And so that's where that came from. There's actually a funny story behind the song, though. Do you know the band Broken Social Scene?
Yeah.
I imagine you're familiar with them. Canadian staple, huge influence on our band for sure. I had a conversation on the phone with Kevin Drew, who is the frontman of the band, just with regards to possibly producing this record. And that didn't pan out, but I had this really awesome chat with him while he was fully in the bath and like could hear bath water lapping. And it was like very romantic, just sort of like speaking to a musical idol while he was naked in warm water was disarming and comforting at the same time. Anyways, the conversation was great, and it kind of ended off with him saying, "Man, Tyler, just go write a pop song." And so I just hung up the phone. I was like, "All right, Kevin wants to hear a pop song." And so that was like the first line of the song. That was the genesis.
That's how it started. I was wondering like what the story was behind Kevin and who Kevin was.
That's him, Kevin Drew.
Kevin Drew. And now we know too. Next time we have you in, we'll set up some bathtubs and we'll do this interview from the bath.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it sounds really
But don't worry,
wonderful.
we're not gonna like skimp. It's not gonna be just baths. We'll bring bath bombs and
Amazing.
bubbles.
Please.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Full 9 miles. Well,
I'm a bath guy.
That's really wicked. And one thing I kind of noticed from the album, as opposed to some other stuff, it's less synthy. Like, is there a reason you like moved away from synth in general in your sound?
Well, yeah, I mean, the last record was kind of an experiment in sonics.
Yeah.
It was really like, us going through some lineup changes and wanting to do something totally different. And so we did. And it was totally out of our wheelhouse, and it was really fun. And I'm glad that we did that. And we had a really fun cycle on the last one. But this was just sort of like, okay, let's just go back to what feels natural for us.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a synth on the album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say, I mean, I've only had a chance to listen to it like once or twice, but I didn't notice any. I didn't want to pretend like I was expert on your album already, though. But actually, right before we started talking, you mentioned the rider at Bo's last night.
Oh
Legendary.
What was on the rider? What made it so crazy?
3 boxes of donuts.
Yeah.
Donut Mill donuts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We usually roll with 1 tray of veggies and dip, 1 bag of Lay's, and some sour cream. That's our rider. But last night they went all out.
Yeah.
Fresh fruit tray.
Yeah, where do you get a mango in Red
good.
Deer in February?
Oh, we grow them.
I thought so. Yeah.
Was this your first time playing Red Deer?
Yeah.
Well,
It was great.
You have a good time?
It's cold.
Yeah, it was very cold. I don't know if you heard, Dan Mangan was just trying to make the trek from Edmonton to Calgary, and his bus just wouldn't start.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to not turn it off.
You
That's
just
the
let it
thing.
run all night.
I've noticed all of the vehicles running with no one in them here. It's cool.
It's
Definitely anybody with a diesel engine I've noticed is leaving their engine running all the time.
all night. You know,
Yeah.
you go to bed,
Yeah.
you just let it go. Like you could go out 10 minutes before. It's just easier to let it run all night.
For real though,
Yeah.
we had to go get a block heater installed into our vehicle. Yeah, because
It wouldn't turn
start
on
again.
after Calgary.
If you run into Dan Mang and pass on the note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just put his beard on it and it warmed up.
he talked and that voice just kind of like
His
warmed the
girthy
air
voice,
around it.
yeah.
So this is album number 6 for you guys, right?
Correct.
What's kind of changed in the way you've looked at making albums from your first one to where you are now?
We started making this album in Tyler's studio in his what he calls the old dirty bike shed outside of his house. So
Yeah.
we started the creation of this record was, can we do this ourselves and make it good enough that it comes across as a real professional record. And then it changed and morphed and everything went a different direction, but that's how it started, we thought.
The answer to that question is sort of yes and sort of no. There's we did a lot of it totally just by ourselves, and then we called in some professionals sort of midway through the process, and like drums and stuff are recorded in full-on studios.
Yeah.
We also did some recording up at my cabin on Gambier Island in the summer, where we use solar power all day long to power our, computers and instruments and stuff. And, and that was pretty cool. A little vacation recording.
Yeah, and when you talk about your cabin and you talk about the old dirty bike shed, and one of the things you guys did leading up to this album was like a docu-series online, which kind of gave a look into each of your lives leading up to the album.
A little taste.
A little taste, which by the way, beautifully done. I don't know who like shot that, but like
I know who. It was Zachary Vague and Sterling LaRose, two young guys from Vancouver that we brought on for the project, and they're great. They did a really wonderful job.
they really did. I mean, the aesthetic of it. I mean, in general, your band has a great aesthetic on Instagram. But I'm getting off topic. What made you want to do that kind of docuseries where like you showed part of yourself to people leading up to the album?
I think it was sort of a, since the lineup change, going from a 5-piece to a 3-piece, there was no like real sort of like public addressing of that. The last record was not only a sonic experiment, but also a bit of an aesthetic experiment.
Yeah, I
Sort of-
stopped wearing a hat.
Yeah, it's true.
It was sort of branded very, very stoically, and I guess we just wanted to pull back the curtain a bit and kind of get back on everyone's level.
Yeah, is that like level of authenticity, that openness important to you guys when it comes to your music?
Absolutely, yeah. And showing people a bit of who we are behind the scenes, makes us a little more relatable, especially when a lot of the themes on the album are related to our lives, and you get to see a little peek into that. You get to see how great of a cook Chase is.
Yeah, I noticed that. What I thought was interesting is you guys see all like it shows you all lead like different lives, like different
True.
areas,
Very
like
different
Whistler,
people.
right? The island, and you're still living like 3 blocks from where you grew up, and it's just it's so weird. When you think of a band, you think of it as like one unit together all the time, and this was like it was a cool look into how you guys are all like doing your own thing, but you come together, and I think that's kind of what makes Said the Whale special in its sound and what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're like, I don't want to say we're like too old to be like a traditional rock band, but we're not like a jam every Tuesday and Thursday kind of band. We're like a write songs on our own time and then come together when it's time to make a record and tour and make the time that we spend together count.
And how is Tyler? How's managing been going? I didn't know you managed before that video.
Yeah. It's just sort of something that came naturally, sort of since the inception of this band. I've always had my hand in the business side of things. And, when we took a couple of years off around 2014, 2015, it was just something that, it was sort of like a natural transition into that sort of things. I really just enjoy helping bands. So that's really where that comes from for me.
Got a foot in just kind of every area of what you do.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So you guys are going to play a couple songs for us?
Yeah.
What are we going to hear?
We're going to kick it off with Un-American Stripped Down Styles.
Oh, yeah.
Then we're going to do a couple other super stripped down style songs.
Perfect. Well, I'm assuming that's what you guys want to hear, right? You guys want to hear Said the Whale? Yeah. All right. There,
All right.
there we go. All right. I'll get out of the way and we can readjust. And
Hold on to your hats for this stripped down set.